Hello folks, this is Hitmanvondoom, and before I go into the comics that I picked up and accumulated in like the past months, current comics, and just give you my thoughts about them, first I'd like to do this is a kind of response to deadpoolrules91. If you haven't checked him out, check him out, he's pretty awesome. And he kind of asked in one of his videos to, kind of do a response of what your first comic book was and what your favorite thing or comic in your collection is. Well, I don't have my first comic, unfortunately. Well, my first comics. I had 3 of them. It was a Marvel team-up in the Ultimate Universe between Spider-Man and Iron Man. It was Web Spinner's Tales of Spider-Man when he was fighting a vulture. And it was like Amazing Spider-Man number, like one of the early ones, like number 3 or 2 when they started on volume 2 of that. But I don't have them anymore because I moved somewhere, then I moved back, and then I moved to a different apartment, and, it just got lost in the shuffle. But here is my favorite thing in my collection. It's my graphic novel. Triumph and Torment, Doctor Doom, and Doctor Strange. That is single-handedly my most favorite comic in my collection because the story is just so good. Well, the graphic novel is just so good. The premise, Act 1. The premise of Act 1 is I think it's like 3 acts. Act 1 is, it's a duel pretty much between a bunch of sorcerers, including Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, to crown the new Sorcerer Supreme. Act 2 is kind of telling the origin, a backstory of Doctor Doom and his mom. And then, in Act 3 which is probably the best part, rescuing Doctor Doom's soul, rescuing Doctor Doom's mother's soul from Mephisto. I can't pronounce his name well, but Mephisto right there in his own realm. Venturing into Mephisto's own realm to rescue the soul of his mother with the aid of Doctor Strange. And that is just awesome, because essentially Mephisto is like the devil, folks. I don't care what anyone says, he's not the devil. He has horns, he has a tail, and apparently he makes deals to cancel out love, like he did with Peter Parker and Mary Jane, which I don't want to go into. And he makes deals for souls and stuff like that. So he's the devil. They go and fight the devil for his mom's soul. And the fact that they actually pull it off, and that Doctor Doom actually outwits essentially the devil, which is mind blowing for me. And I was just, oh my god, it's just awesome. And I'm gonna stop right there because I already went into this thing in 2 other videos, and so this is my favorite thing in my collection, Deadpool Rules 91. And now, time for the things that I picked up or accumulated in the past few months or weeks, 2-3 weeks. Minimum Carnage. I might have to lift the camera up a little bit. There we go. Minimum Carnage Alpha. This is a story to Minimum Carnage. Now, see, in my opinion, it was a solid issue. It was what you would call an introduction issue. This is what I would say. Maybe this is more of a prologue, if you kind of get what I'm saying. It's more of a prologue. It's not really, it's kind of an introduction. You get a nice introduction to Venom, which, if you're like me, I know all about Scarlet Spider, I know all about Carnage, but I don't really know a lot about Venom, the current Venom, which I only know is he's Flash Thompson, and that's it. That's all I really know, because, he went from Eddie Brock to some weird Italian mob guy to the Scorpion to Flash Thompson now, and that's all I really know. So, if you don't really know anything about these 2 characters, but you're really interested in Carnage, then it would probably be good, because you kind of get an idea what the 2 characters are and how they interact and their methods. So I was kind of happy to kind of learn a little more about Venom, or the current Venom at least. And so this was pretty solid, because you got to take it as an introductory issue, and it was pretty solid for an introductory issue. The art was pretty good, but you know what I mean? But the only thing I don't like how Carnage is drawn. And this is probably going to be a recurring theme here, because I have the other issues of Minimum Carnage, and that's my only knock is I don't like the way the Carnage is drawn. But I can give him. I can maybe give him a little bit leeway because Carnage is a difficult character to draw. Because his costume is just very fluid. I mean, it's not really stable. It's not a solid material. It's a living being that's constantly moving. So you can kind of see why. But overall, it's a pretty solid issue, and you get a nice little. Both characters shine here. And I really liked Scarlet Spider's battle with Carnage. I mean, for God's sake, he tries to snap Carnage's neck and it doesn't work. So I really like kind of seeing, like, a different take, a different type of villain who's not afraid to kill Carnage. Actually, try and attack Carnage. Because, with Spider-Man, he wouldn't try to kill him. So this was a pretty solid issue for an introductory issue. But you could probably skip it though. And of course, Venom number 26. Now, I do have Scarlet Spider, but I'm probably gonna do another State of the Scarlet Spider review because it's issue 10 that ties into this, and I want to do those every 5 issues or so. I should do that with Batman and Robin, but I maybe forgot. This continues off where pretty much you get a little more meat to the story, to the plot. Again, complaint. Carnage is just drawn really, really odd. And you get some good moments with Venom. And again, like I said, the artwork is pretty decent. You get some good Scarlet Spider moments, which I'm enjoying Scarlet Spider a lot. You get some good Venom moments, and you get a lot of really good things to the plot. Like, you finally start figuring out what's kind of going on here. Because I think in the first 2 issues, you were kind of like, okay, well, you're waiting for some answers, and you get some answers here. Because apparently, the people that rescued Carnage, they're in war, and they want to just kill this guy called the Redeemer. And it is an issue where it's like a lot of irony. Venom is working with the guys who are working with the Redeemer. Carnage is working with the people who want to kill the Redeemer. And Scarlet Spider, ironically, he's with the Redeemer. Ironically, it's like a story of irony. You got him with guys trying to kill the Redeemer, him with guys that are serving the Redeemer, him with the Redeemer. So I just kind of had a little chuckle, like, man, it's pretty ironic. But of course, Carnage ends up turning his back and kills people, and apparently they want to use Carnage. They want to make kind of an army of little Carnages. You know what I'm saying? Which, I saw that. Which after I was like, wait a minute, how are they gonna do that? And then I saw the cover for the last issue, and I saw a bunch of other tiny Carnages. I was like, oh my, now it makes sense. They're gonna use this to try to create an army of like Carnage symbiotes. They're gonna try to raise a little army of Carnage symbiotes, and that's why they want him. So I was like, oh, now it makes sense. This was the issue where it was like, aha, now it's starting to come together. So I enjoyed it pretty much. I enjoyed it pretty much. So. Venom 18. Now we got the Uncanny Avengers number 1. Now, of course, I said that I had a budget issue, that I was trying to keep on budget, but then I got my promotion. I got a promotion, which pretty much from $12 an hour to $14 an hour now. Folks, I'm still in college, keep in mind. So $14 an hour where you're going to college and just working weekends where you're going to go back to school for pharmacy, and you're only just working weekends, and you're getting paid $14 an hour, and you're working 24 hours, like 2 12-hour shifts, and getting out in 2 days. Not bad. So I was able to actually raise the budget a little more. Raise my comic book budget a little more. And I was right at the teeth of it, so pretty much my comic book budget went from like I think 15 to 20, but I still would like to keep it down to 15 if I can help it. But Uncanny Avengers number 1. And so anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this issue. It was pretty solid. It was a very solid issue. I enjoyed the interaction between Scott and Alex, and this is where you find out that Scott is just, he's gone. He's completely Darkseid, gone out of it. He really did everything he did is right. Killing Professor Xavier, he wouldn't change it. It's like, he's completely gone. And Havoc finally, he sees this, and he's like, he tells him, he's like, which was probably the best line ever. you saw what he pretty much says. You saw what the Phoenix did to Jean Grey, but yet you still had to go and take the Phoenix, and even though you saw what it did to Jean, you still had to double check to see if it could help. Like, and that was my thing. It was like that was my main argument with AVX. And you're gonna trust the Phoenix with a little 16-year-old woman or girl in Hope who doesn't know the extent of her power. That was my main thing with AVX. But he kind of points that out, and it's I enjoyed that interaction. It was really well done. I enjoyed Wolverine, and I enjoyed Captain America. I enjoyed the interaction between Scarlet Witch, and I enjoyed having the Red Skull come back. And I enjoyed the Red Skull as such a great villain because he's a character that's like irredeemable. You know what I'm saying, folks? There's just like no redemption for him. There's no silver lining, no redemption, nothing to redeem this character at all. No good qualities whatsoever. Because one, he's a Nazi. I mean, come on. And two, he's just a really, just a despicable, hated, racist character. That's just a really nasty character. And that's probably the perfect villain for these guys right there. Someone who's just, and someone who's not like, or has some redeemable quality. Someone who's not walking that thin line, but someone who's just so far down the villain path, so far down that line that he's, beyond. That's what the Red Skull is, and that's why I think it's the perfect villain for all these characters to unite around and come together and defeat. That, the Red Skull would be, that's like the perfect villain if you could pick one right there. And he gives the eulogy, and Rogue and Scarlet Witch end up fighting a little bit. And I like how Scarlet Witch was like, okay, I'm the blame, but, I'm not she's kind of accepts, she's like, yeah, I'm the blame, I know it, but, I'm not the only one who just did this. You guys had choices too. She kind of makes that out too. And the ending was very well done. It was very good too. So it was a very, very solid issue. And I'm glad people on YouTube kind of convinced me to push it to buy it, but I don't know how I'm going to pick up the second issue though. See, what I may do, what I'm thinking of doing, I'll just wait for a bunch of everybody else on YouTube to review it, and if I feel like I want to get it or not. But what I'm considering, what I might do is I might just skip the next issue, and I might just get the end of the story arc. Just because the end of the story arc, I guess I'll kind of get an idea where this book is gonna go and how they're gonna come together and what the team. That's where I'm gonna get more of an idea. So I think I'm gonna wait till the story arc ends, and I probably won't be picking up issue 2, but it was a very, very solid issue. I enjoyed it. And Batman and Robin, number 13. This was probably the whatchamacallit, what am I looking for here? The right word. This was probably the worst Batman book that I picked up. Related book that I picked up. And the fact that I'm saying that and it's Batman and Robin should tell you how awesome the other two were. Because when I say worst, I don't mean it was bad. It was pretty good, but the other two-ish Batman-related titles that I picked up were just really awesome as well. And the fact that I'm saying that this is not as good as the other one, the fact that I'm saying it's the worst is not a bad thing. It's actually really good. It just means that, as I said before, the Batman titles have just been so good that something's got to be a little lower quality, and this is it. It's still really solid. But, you know what I'm saying? But when you got quality like the other ones, it's just, man, I can tell you, the Batman Renaissance is just in full effect. That's what I call it, Batman Renaissance. It's just, Batman related titles have been really good. Well, I haven't been reading Detective, which I heard is not that great. And The Dark Knight, which I heard is not that great, or subpar. But Batman and Robin, this issue, since its inception, with the Volume 1, Batman and Robin, Volume 1, with Grant Morrison writing, this has been consistently good. Every issue has been consistently good, on par with quality. The artwork's very well done. And, I like the bonding moment that, Batman and, his son Damon have. They talk about their mom. He talk about his mom. He's like, he says that, I loved her. Yeah, I did love her for a time. And, Robin's discussing, she put a bounty on my head. And, they're kind of going over, like, their shared mutual dislike for Talia al Ghul. So it's pretty good. And I like the zombie stuff, too, because the zombies come out of nowhere. and the Joker's around, in the background. Well, he's not in this issue, but he's kind of, hinted that he's there around, he's back. So it was a nice, solid issue. Damian Wayne is really, and you kind of see, when you look at the first issue, it's like Damian Wayne, you kind of see his character is developing. He's not, okay, cold-blooded killer, I hate that dog. He's actually bonded with the dog that he got in, like, the first few issues. I think it was issue 2, and, you could kind of see his character developing a little more. So that's what I really enjoyed about this, and the artwork's really good. So it was a really solid issue. Batman and Robin never disappoints me. The next issue I picked up was Batgirl. And folks, like I said, I just got onto Batgirl the last issue, folks. It was really well done, and we have this die cut, which I agree with some people, a lot of people, that I just not feeling this thing, man. I just don't like the die cuts. I don't know. I mean, it's just, Reign of Superman. When you remember the die cut that you have, it just reminds me of that, and I'm just not a big fan of the die cut. I just can't get into that. But it picks off where it left off, where Batgirl is getting stabbed. She's getting stabbed by, she got stabbed by Nightfall, and it continues that story, which is not a bad thing. You see this, and you think, oh, it's going to be the only thing that, like, Roger, I can never remember his numbers, but, like, he said, the only thing that has to do with it, like, the last 2 pages with a death of the family, which, I didn't pick that up, and folks, I didn't pick this up for death of the family for it to tie in. I picked it up because I wanted to finish the story arc from the previous issue, which was really well done, and it was very well done. I mean, you find out Nightfall's, you find out her origin, and it's just, man, it is pretty graphic, because she had a boyfriend, she finally got a boyfriend, and her boyfriend ends up turning to be one of the biggest scumbags ever, because he actually kills her family, watches her, and he forces her to watch as he kills her family. He's just a gigantic dirtbag, and from then on in, Nightfall pretty much takes off the glove, then goes on to this horrific vigilante spree, going purposely to Arkham, to learn her craft from all the crazies there, and learn everything, and, it was a really nice origin for Nightfall. And she actually gets her revenge on that dirtbag of her boyfriend who did that. And, it's really difficult for me to... It's like on one hand, you could kind of empathize with Nightfall. Because you kind of empathize a little bit with her, because she did get her revenge on that dirtbag of her boyfriend, and I had no sympathy for him. But then she kind of takes it a little too far, because she not only she go after a dirtbag like that and tortures him, she tortures the guy who steals a car. I mean... and I like the Batgirl too. She's vulnerable, but she had such a good fight. It was such a good interaction between the two. You know what I'm saying? And it was so cool that one of the victims that she tortured actually held Batgirl out when she was stabbed. It was a really solid issue. I'm enjoying the artwork on this. I love the artwork on this. It's really well done. So I've been enjoying Batgirl, and I'm going to be enjoying it till December, because it's on my pull list for a while. At least until it starts disappointing me, but Batgirl is really, really, really good. This issue is very good. If you haven't been reading Batgirl, and if you just want to pick it up for Death in the Family, then this is probably not the issue for you. If you want to jump onto Batgirl, this is definitely not the issue to jump onto. And don't get this issue if you just want to get it, because it says Death in the Family. Don't get the issue if it's like that. If just for, to jump on, or because it's Death in the Family, because, like I said, it only ties in Death in the Family in like the last 2 pages. But if you're gonna go into Death of the Family, that if you're gonna want to buy this book because you want to finish the other story arc like I did, then it's well worth it. It has a satisfying ending, in my opinion, and it leaves the door open for Nightfall to become like this recurring villain, her arch nemesis. And I feel that Nightfall can really be a nice arch nemesis to Batgirl. So I enjoyed this really much, very much. And of course, we have the Omega Sanction of the week. The Omega Sanction, Batman. Everyone gave high praises for this, folks. High praises, and I loved every minute of this. Every issue was so well done. I love the backstory, because usually when you get a backstory, it's meh. But the backstory was a little backup story with Harley Quinn and the Joker. It was just so, everything was just so well done, folks. I mean, oh my god, everything was just, I mean, I don't know what else to say, folks. You've seen other people's videos, you've seen them review, you've seen them play. I don't think I have anything else to add. But I just gotta say, I mean, I'm very happy with my comic book purchases. I mean, all of them. Minimum Carnage was pretty decent. You know, it kind of reminded me of the comics I used to read when I was a kid. All the Batman related titles was pretty good, and Kenny Avengers was pretty good. And this one just was like the icing on the cake, man. I mean, this was, oh, it was great, folks. This was, how do I put this? I think I had a fangasm with this. You know, and for those of you who don't know what a fangasm is, it's something that when you're a fan of something, and you know something, when you're a fan of like a show or something, and then something so awesome happens, you get that intense emotion just running through. You're like, oh my god! You just feel like running around, shouting and shouting, running around the room, running around the block, shouting, "This is awesome! This is awesome! You gotta watch." That's what a fangasm is, and that's what this caused me to have, a fangasm. The last time I had that was in Devil May Cry 4, I believe. Was when I was playing Devil May Cry 4 and Virgil and Dante were teaming up against that other guy, and that was the last time I was like, oh my god, it's so awesome! You know, and that was a few years ago. Oh, also, Second Coming kind of made me do that too. When I was reading that, I kind of had another fangasm, and I was like, showing my brother, like, you gotta read this, get him out, it's so cool, you know? Yeah, so, that was Batman. So, anyway, folks, that was kind of my thoughts on these. You can never go wrong with Batman. Batman was really well done. And so, anyone, thanks for watching. Peace out. Scissors. Alright, folks, take care.